Thanks for clicking. China's real estate crisis took a back seat in international news this week as the Russian invasion of Ukraine eclipsed basically all other headlines. China initially refused to call the invasion an invasion, instead deflecting blame towards the United States. It has since altered its stance, calling the invasion a war. While we in the West, Canada, the United States, see this war as an act of aggression through the lens of East versus West, China very well might see this as an opportunity, as a means to help prop up its failing economy. So what I want to do today is first check in with Evergrande.
Hello, love.
As we did receive some news that Beijing is getting more heavily involved, taking more and more control from the failing real estate developer. Then I want to discuss the Russian invasion of Ukraine as it relates to China's economy. With the supposed special relationship between China and Russia starting to fray, we very well may see China start to take advantage of this quagmire that Russia has gotten itself into as it tries to find ways to help along its own economic recovery. With Russia turning to China and China having its own economic problems, we'll continue to have updates out as it pertains to the Ukrainian invasion, to China's economy, and obviously as it pertains to the markets here in the US and in Canada. Click like and subscribe if you want to get those updates, but for now, let's start off with Evergrande. News came out this week that Evergrande sold 4 of its major projects for $337 million to state-backed, read the government, trust companies. These state-backed trust companies, meaning government trust companies, also bought up the right to debt, meaning that when they bought these projects, they also took on all the debts held by these projects. So while China has been explicit that they will not be engaging in any bailouts of the real estate sector,
There's gonna be no deals. No deals.
these state-backed firms bought up these projects from Evergrande and took on the debt. Nice friends if you can get them. So while we've talked on this channel many times about a lot of commentators saying that this is not a Lehman moment, we're seeing China act very much in the same manner as the US did, buying up these assets in order to relieve the companies of their debts. So while China is publicly saying that they will not be bailing out the real estate sector, in reality, they are seeing the writing on the wall. They are seeing the continual downturn of the real estate sector and bailing these companies out anyway, vis-a-vis debt buyouts.
Thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, as the real estate sector in China continues to downturn, and we got more news out this week that sales were down 47%, we see China more and more getting involved in the market, buying out bad debts, buying projects through state-backed firms, but it's the government doing the purchasing. We see them buying these projects from Evergrande, and I would suspect as the year goes on, we'll see more and more of this out of other real estate developers as well. With that said, moving on to China and Russia. During the last few years, China and Russia have made a concerted effort to demonstrate their growing special relationship and growing integration of ties.
China has been one of the main diplomatic allies of Vladimir Putin. But again, they're starting to walk back a little bit of that support that we saw following the invasion.
With the Russian invasion of Ukraine, despite initially blaming the US, China has made a concerted effort to make sure it doesn't align itself with Moscow too much. While this does stem from China's long-held principles of non-interference, I think there's something else at work here, as there could be much to gain from the quagmire that Russia has found itself in Ukraine.
This will work to our advantage.
While the Russian economy has been pummeled with sanctions, in the past few years, Russia and China have expanded their trade greatly. Both Xi and Putin have agreed in the past to expand Russia-China trade to $250 billion by 2024. With China tapping Russia for over 15% of its oil imports, this relationship has gotten more and more important over the years as China is Russia's largest trading partner. Given that China heavily needs low inflation right now in order to allow more policy support, cheaper money to flow into the system to help get the real estate market back up and moving, cheaper oil is just what the doctor ordered. So as Russia's relationship with the West continues to deteriorate, look to China to try to take advantage and buy up Russia's cheap oil at a time when Russia doesn't have a whole lot of options left. Although this is a special relationship, this relationship is a relationship of convenience. It's more of an anti-West relationship, more of an anti-United States relationship than it is special friends. China and Russia have historically not gotten along very well, and that is likely to continue if and when the US is out of the picture. These are two very powerful neighbors in the same region, and as history has taught us anything, two very powerful neighbors don't usually get along. So, look for China to take advantage of this situation from Russia in order to help shore up its own finances as it deals with this real estate crisis. Obviously, there are other geopolitical factors at work here as China attempts to balance its way through this crisis. With Russia being increasingly cut off from the West, it's going to look to China to try to bypass these sanctions, to try to get around these sanctions imposed by the West and prop up its economy. This at a time when China definitely has its own problems and has also been cut off from Western funding, although for very different reasons. We'll definitely be getting into these discussions about how Russia and China interact more and more increasingly cut off from the United States, from the Western world as this crisis unfolds, and how this will affect China's real estate market, which obviously will come back and affect us in the West. If you want to get those updates, make sure you click like and subscribe, and thanks so much for watching.